Imagine someone describes Jesus to you. They might say Jesus was kind, Jesus loved everyone, Jesus helped people. And all of that is true, but here's the thing. That picture is only part of the story because if you actually read the accounts of Jesus' life, you quickly realize something surprising. Jesus was not just a calm, gentle teacher walking around saying nice things. He challenged people, he confronted people, he said things that made powerful people angry. He turned tables, he called out hypocrisy, he made people uncomfortable. The Jesus of history was not just a harmless, always smiling figure as some people imagine. He was loving, but he was also very bold. Sometimes his words were extremely intense. So let's look at that side of Jesus that often gets overlooked. The side that surprised people 2000 years ago and still surprises people today. Let's get into it. First, we have to understand something. Being kind does not mean being passive. A lot of people today confuse being nice with never causing conflict. But Jesus didn't live like that. He cared deeply about people, but because he cared, he was willing to tell people the truth, even when they didn't want to hear it. And that's what made him so different. Jesus wasn't trying to win a popularity contest. He wasn't trying to make everyone comfortable. He was just trying to change people's lives. And sometimes change starts with a difficult conversation. One of the biggest examples of this was Jesus' conflict with the religious leaders of his time. These were respected people, they had authority, they knew the scriptures, they were seen by many as the most devoted followers of God. But Jesus had some harsh words for them. Why? Because he believed some of them cared more about looking righteous than actually doing what was right. He accused them of focusing on outward appearance while ignoring important things like mercy, justice, and compassion. Basically, Jesus was saying, you look good on the outside, but what's happening inside your heart? And that message hit hard, because nobody likes having their motives questioned, especially people with power. But Jesus wasn't afraid to challenge them. And it wasn't just religious leaders who received difficult words. Sometimes Jesus challenged ordinary people too. There were moments when people came to Jesus expecting an easy answer, and they got something much more demanding. For example, a wealthy man once asked Jesus what he needed to have eternal life. This man was successful, he had money, he had status. He probably thought he was doing pretty well, but Jesus challenged him to give up his wealth and follow him. The point wasn't simply that money is bad. The point was that anything can become more important to us than God. And Jesus was asking, what controls your heart? That's a much harder question because it forces people to look inside themselves. And then there's one of the most famous moments where Jesus showed a side people don't expect, the temple. According to the Gospels, Jesus entered the temple in Jerusalem and saw people using a sacred place for business. And instead of ignoring it, he took action. He overturned tables, he confronted the people involved. And now picture that scene. This isn't a quiet teacher politely asking everyone to leave. This is a dramatic moment. Jesus was angry because he believed something holy was being corrupted. And it reveals something very important because Jesus was not emotionless. He wasn't someone who avoided all conflict. He has strong emotions. He showed compassion, he showed sadness, and he also showed righteous anger. Because sometimes love means standing against things that hurt people. But here's where it gets really interesting. The same Jesus who confronted powerful people also showed incredible kindness toward broken people. And that's the part that makes him complicated. He could be extremely direct with arrogant people, but incredibly gentle with those who were suffering. He defended people who were rejected by society. He spent time with people others avoided. He forgave people who had made serious mistakes. He welcomed outsiders. He wasn't harsh towards people who were imperfect. He was harsh toward people who pretended they were perfect. And that difference is huge. Jesus wasn't against broken people. He was against fake righteousness. He wasn't pushing away sinners who admitted their struggles. He was challenging people who refused to admit they needed help. And maybe that's why Jesus was so controversial, because he didn't fit neatly into one category. Some people wanted him to be a political leader. He wasn't. Some wanted him to simply be a peaceful teacher. He wasn't only that either. Some wanted him to stay quiet. He refused. Jesus was compassionate, but he was also confrontational, gentle, but also bold, humble, but also confident in his message. And that combination is exactly what made people react so strongly to him. Some people loved him, some people hated him, some people followed him, and some people wanted him gone. Nobody really ignored him, because Jesus didn't just tell people what they wanted to hear, he challenged them to become something different. And maybe that's why the real Jesus is so interesting. A nice guy is easy to ignore, but someone who tells you the truth about yourself, someone who challenges your priorities, someone who asks you to completely rethink your life, that's much harder to ignore. So when people say Jesus was just a nice guy, they're missing a much bigger picture. Jesus was kind, but he wasn't just kind. He was a teacher, a challenger, a person who confronted power, a person who changed the lives of people around him. And whether someone believes he was the son of God or simply one of history's most influential figures, one thing is clear. Jesus was not boring. He was not passive, and he was definitely not the simple, harmless character that people sometimes imagine. The real Jesus was much more interesting. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more interesting videos about Christianity, Jesus, and just some stories and questions people often don't really ask. And please, for me, can you be kind to one person today? Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.